So anyway, this is a message for the good guys and the bad guys, Speaker's Corner. Good guys. Scratching my head there. Certainly Doctor Who, Dr. David's channel, Lions Roar. I don't 100% agree with him, but there again, I don't have to. He is definitely a born-again Christian. He corrected me a couple of times because, I got to watch my mouth a bit. But he's definitely a good guy. He's definitely in a very small group there, likes his singing and says things as they are. I do not agree with him that Trump is the Antichrist. I think there is a case for saying Trump's movement could be Antichrist, but I don't think Trump himself is the Antichrist. He is certainly too old for that. I don't know how far we are into end times, but we are pretty much there. And that said, I think that there's a coming economic crisis this autumn. If you read what is going on in the Supreme Court, for instance, there could be a market crash after the Supreme Court decision on the Federal Reserve case. You can look that one up if you want, because essentially for the last 50 years at least, the president appoints someone to the board of the Reserve Bank and then leaves things alone, a bit like the Supreme Court. Only Trump has said he's got the right to fire, so that is a very dangerous one. So, yeah, Dr. David, way to go. But these Bobs, Bob already has proven himself on numerous occasions that he cannot defend his we are a Christian nation rubbish, because every time I ask him to justify it from the Bible, he runs away like a little coward. He did the last time I did that. I can put up clips on my channel because now I've got a lovely place. There's my TV. Here we go. I've already made a mess of the place, but anyway, it's going to be maybe a little bit lonely, so I may I may do a trial of StreamYard and do some live streams on political events in Britain, but they're going to have to be early evening. Because, the country has... I don't agree with Doctor Who, Dr. David, on this idea that the nation has... the nation has abandoned God, for sure. I don't agree with him on this Christian nation rubbish. There is no such thing. But yes, the large numbers of people who have essentially adopted, extremely decadent lifestyle is just shocking. And then people don't get my sense of humor, because I was asked, well, James, have you done any weed? I said, well, a couple of weeks ago, do you know what I mean? And they go, well, no, I was only joking. I've passed the weed test. No weed for me. And the shocking thing about Bob is that actually I think the young Bobs could potentially be related. They look a bit like each other, but that's just speculation. What shocks me about these young Bobs, and one's a little bit podgier and one talks a lot more, is this pompous little twit. Yeah, let's keep this clean. This pompous little twit runs around thinking he is an expert on pretty much everything, and he's not. I asked him about immigration. He sort of then slandered me. He's hanging out with fascists. He's learning fast. I'm not going to call him a fascist, but he's heading that way big time. He's becoming essentially... he's becoming radicalized by these demons, Tenconi and Jack and people like that. And we do different things in the UK. He's reasonable on his knowledge of the immigration issue, for sure. But the problem, just to engage in pure slander just shows that he is not a Christian. It says you will know them by their fruit. If someone is a genuine Christian, they don't go round slandering people in public. And the thing is, in my case, what has happened is we have a socialist superstate. Sorry, I had a socialist superstate. Do you know what I mean? That was one of my fingers, by the way. This country, Britain, has become an absolute socialist basket case. And I was chatting to someone today, it has literally become bread and circuses where people just think that the state is going to lavish them with money and that they're going to get more and more welfare. And the Office of Budget Responsibility, which shouldn't even be there in the first place, is predicting that if spending levels carry on present trajectories, we'll be in for a national debt of 300% of GDP. Well, the financial crisis will come long before that. We're heading for a financial crash. We're heading for major economic upheaval. And that is partially the message of Nigel Farage, only he is being dishonest with the British people as well, because his recent economic plans involve scrapping the two-child benefit cap, things like that. We've been living on benefits since the 1970s, possibly even before. The welfare state is a failure, and it's going to fail. And we are now... I think it's got to the point where, I had a choice. Do I carry on battling the government in Britain, or do I go overseas with my clean criminal record and basically work overseas? And it's much better. You feel the air of freedom. The air of freedom is being free from a government which basically oppresses its own citizens. It will basically do you just for tweeting. So where this channel goes from now is to maybe host, and I will look at the tech, where if people, these Candid with Lubna's channels is this, she's very naive when she lets people on wearing face masks, stuff like that. If someone wants to come on with a face mask, if I do live streaming, I will ask them why. I will ask them who they are, what their identity is. If they want to conceal their identity, I will find digital ways of doing so, because this channel now becomes a pirate channel along the name of Laser. Because people are too scared to speak their mind. People are too scared to tell stories about what is actually going on in Britain. And I need to look up the tech of doing this. I will be protected by a VPN. I will also I can digitize your voice, and I can basically blur your face. If you want to talk about the reality of what's going on in modern Britain, then I will be hosting some live streams, probably at weekends, because this country is a mess. Other reflections going on the Unite the Kingdom March. Now you're going to shoot me down for this. Mind you, I'm so far away, you won't be able to shoot me down. The Gary Neville comment, the condescending little prick. But the worrying thing about the Unite the Kingdom March was the demographic. You couldn't not see the demographic. The demographic was too old. And yes, while there were young people, I think the young people who attended that march are now in a real minority. And of course, there was the case of the girl who turned up in the Union flag outfit, spoke on stage. I hope she's okay and her grades are okay, because, she will now be marked out, cancelled, whatever. But then the real objective of this channel is to make sure that fascism does not arise. Bob associates with fascists. He is preaching fascism. He is preaching crusades. The young Bobs are going down exactly the same line. Actually, you have to hand it to the most kind of blatant fascist going, who is Nick Tenconi. He's actually going into Whitechapel. Stand up to the Islamists. That could actually be quite funny, actually. The stand up to racism will be there. He'll have his megaphone out. It's not that I think people don't get me over Tenconi. Maybe 70 to 80% of what Tenconi says is absolutely right. He's absolutely right to stand up to it directly. But then when he says, we should have no Jews, Hindus, or Muslims in government, that's fascism. When he starts to say, we're going to be a Christian nation, when if he ever gets power, or if he ever gets a power base, I think he's getting one, actually. I think people said, the fact that when I triggered him, if I see a fascist, I will call a fascist. And then that leads to the Tommy Robinson question. I would actually like to talk to Tommy Robinson. It would have to be online now. Obviously, he didn't platform Nick Tenconi, so obviously Tenconi was in a bit of a sulk when the Charlie Kirk thing occurred. But he's certainly hovering around. I think that Tommy Robinson platformed some people he should not have platformed. I mean, he had Brian Tamaki, let's rip that flag up in Jesus' name. I mean, you really need to actually listen to what Musk said. Musk has obviously been a great friend to Britain. He's obviously of British origin. And I think people missed what he said. I think people missed when he said his T-shirt, for a start. It didn't say the wombats. It said, what would Orwell think? Well, I think Orwell would be shocked. I think Orwell would think, actually, my book was too tame, because the Orwellian nature of what is going on at the moment is actually just scary. And the thing is that when people have the police turn up at, 1 o'clock in the morning for an email or a tweet, I mean, at least I know I can sleep easy now. At least I know the British police will not basically be knocking at the door, because I will say, read between the lines, boys, I wasn't in UK. And the thing is, to prove that basically I did something like a tweet or something like that, they would have to go to the government where I am, and, good luck with that. So my message is probably a bit blurry. I'm okay. I'm a bit travel lagged more than actually jet lagged. I have to do a night flight, which always messes me up. So I went to bed first night at 7:30, got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's plenty of sleep. My sleep is better. My mental health will improve. And one of the ways that will improve is that the way the NHS, I mean, the National Horror Show is now over. I've got private healthcare. But I mean, I won't need to see the doctor for at least a couple of months. Actually, possibly double that, because the way you can't actually make this up. When they changed my meds, they never left the old ones. They never took the old ones off the list. So, of course, I just kept taking the script. And the medication is actually working well at the moment. The vortioxetine is working really well. If you read about vortioxetine, it's a modern antidepressant. It's got, I think now I've been on it a couple of months, it's actually okay, but that's not what the doctors think I'm on. Now, the trazodone has basically gone to the dustbin of history, and I'm taking a dose of what an NHS nurse said is impossible. I'm taking 7.5 of mirtazapine. That helps me sleep. Mental health in UK is crap. And now I have got to get to work. I have got to but I've got quite a lot of spare time on my hands, especially at weekends, where I will actually try and host some live debates, live feedback, and also give people the right to speak their mind on video whilst protecting their identity if I need to. Because, I mean, we're facing tumultuous times. We're definitely facing tumultuous times. We're facing a situation where, in some ways, and you'll hate me for saying this, I actually feel a bit sorry for Keir Starmer. I mean, to say that what is going on is Keir Starmer's fault just shows you how far gone the country is. Because when Mrs. Thatcher came into power, which was a long time ago, it took her at least 2 to 3 years to sort the mess out. Now, of course, Starmer is saying that, but there again, Starmer is going down the line of tax. Well, who started that? It was Boris Johnson who basically went down the line of tax. It was Tony Blair who introduced stealth taxes. And when David Cameron came in, he only put a dent into the socialist superstate we have. We have a socialist superstate of taxes, and we have a socialist superstate of regulations. and it's just a joke. So anyway, I'm okay. Anyone, I don't know who watches my channel, I don't really care. But I'm actually okay. I'm now going to get to work on basically trying to change Britain from outside. This channel is now a true offshore channel where I have a lot more freedom to speak my mind and to basically try and unite the kingdom.